everyone, it's Carissa Wiley here for Concord and Ninth. Thanks for joining me today. It's time for an up-close and personal look at the brand new Joyful Wreath stamps and coordinating dies. These are a festive holiday twist on previous favorites like Primrose Garden and Festive Blooms, but this is in the shape of a wreath. This bundle centers around this large die set that creates a beautiful wreath that you can customize any way that you want. You can see there are several dies included in this, including the large wreath, which can be used to create a stitching map to help you place the individual foliage elements. There's also some berries, a sentiment, and a stitched detail piece that fits perfectly on an A2 size card front. The stitching portion of the wreath can be used on its own to die cut into a card front, or you can use it with the coordinating shadow die and inner die. The Joyful Wreath stamp set includes several sentiments that are perfectly sized for the banner that's included in the die set, and there's also some smaller dies that will fit perfectly on the inside of the wreath. So let's have a quick look at all of the die cuts as they are die cut from various colors of cardstock. When you use all three of the wreath dies together, the outer, the inner, and the stitching portion, you are left with this wreath that stands alone. You have that gorgeous stitching, which can guide you in adding the individual elements, or it can be used just like this. Now, all of the greenery pieces cut out in multiples, making it easy to kind of fill in this wreath. I also love the banner as well as the fa la la sentiment. The bow stacks up to create some dimension, and you can choose from a couple of different tails for your bow. This little knot can be a little bit tricky, but if you use a dual-tipped embellishment tool or something like tweezers to help you get it in place, it makes it a lot easier. Now, there are 2 layers for the berries. Those individual layers can be used on their own, or you can stack them up to create some shadow and dimension. Here is a look at the 3 dies to create the wreath. You have the stitching portion, which just creates a stitched element. There are no cut lines on this die that will trim this out. There's also an outer layer, which will cut out the outer portion of the wreath, and an inner portion, so you can determine how you want to use all of these dies together. Concord and Ninth has included an etched line on the back of these wreath dies that help you line them up. And I absolutely love this addition because all you have to do is flip these over to the back and make sure those etched lines line up, and you know that all of your shadow and inlay dies are in the perfect position for creating a fabulous wreath. Once my dies are lined up, I like to hold them in place with some craft tape, and then I can position them on my cardstock, run it through my die cut machine, and that gives me a perfectly lined up wreath image. Now, this could be used as a shaker card or even on its own. I also wanted to show you what this stitched wreath looks like if you die cut it directly onto your card front. I've also used those little stitched details at the top and bottom of this A2 size card front, and I love how all the stitching ties together. The stitching on this wreath creates the perfect map for adding these individual greenery pieces. They do die cut in multiples, so it's easy to create several of these at once in 1, 2, or 3 colors to give your wreath some color and dimension. I like to add some liquid glue just towards the base of these greenery pieces. That allows me to go back and kind of fluff these up later and also tuck other pieces underneath. I like to start with kind of those 3-pronged larger greenery pieces and kind of make my way around the wreath. As I do, I'm looking for the pieces that line up with that larger leaf that kind of sticks out in the middle, and you'll find that in the stitching, and then your outer leaves will kind of line up with the outer cut line of this wreath. Now, once you've put one of these together, it's very easy, and you find that it's very forgiving. So even if you don't put these in the exact right spot, your wreath fills out beautifully. Once I've gone around one time with a set of those larger leaves, I like to come in with the smaller 2-pronged leaves. Again, just using some liquid glue towards the base of those leaves so I can go back and fluff them up later. And I like to pick up that large leaf of the 3-pronged leaf that's already placed and kind of slide and tuck that 2-pronged leaf underneath. This is going to give it a really nice finished feel as you go around your wreath. Now you can die cut as many of these greenery elements as you want, and you can die cut them in various colors as well. It all depends on your personal preference. If you die cut each of the larger and the smaller greenery pieces once and make your way around the wreath, this is kind of what you're left with. I wanted to fill in this wreath a little bit more, so I die cut some more of the smaller and larger pieces and just went through and added them in where they lined up with the stitching lines. As you fill in this wreath, it kind of gets a little bit harder to see the stitched lines beneath, but you can use the outer edge of the wreath as well to kind of guide you in where you're placing your smaller pieces. Now, as it fills in, it's also kind of hard to see the berry pieces, but you can either refer back to your die or you can kind of just slip them in. There are several of the berry outlines that I can see, so I'm adding liquid glue to those. These berries are stacked up with 2 layers, but I also like to use them on their own depending on the speed at which I want to work for my card project. Again, you can refer back to the die or to one of the stitched pieces that you've die cut to kind of guide you in your berry placement. Now here's a look at a wreath that I created with 3 different colors of cardstock as well as some vellum. So I have rainforest, eucalyptus, sea glass, and some vellum. And you can see I can fluff up this wreath because I've only put the liquid glue at the base of each of these greenery pieces. This gives my wreath a lot of dimension and a lot of color. I die cut the bow from poppy cardstock and adhered it kind of off to the side of my wreath. And you can see I have my sentiment there die cut from pimento cardstock and slightly offset with a white layer behind it. I also used the wood slats embossing folder to give my card front some texture, and that card front is created from some pistachio cardstock. Now for my second card, I just used the stitched portion of the wreath and filled in the berries. I have my berries die cut from nectar, poppy, and pimento. I've created a little grouping of the greenery with the bow here on this right side. And for the card front, I used that stitched detail piece on both the top and bottom and added some rainforest enamel dots to give it a little bit more texture and shine. I stamped the happiest of holidays sentiments in rainforest ink onto white cardstock and die cut it using the coordinating banner die and offset it with some rainforest cardstock. So there you have it, an up close and personal look at the brand new Joyful Wreaths dies and coordinating stamp set. I think whether you use this on its own with a very simple card project like the one on the right, or if you do it up to the nines with lots of dimension and texture, you're gonna have a great time creating with this beautiful new bundle from Concord and Ninth.